Baruch Dayan Ha'emet. Is this on? It is? Oh, good. Baruch Dayan Ha'emet. We praise the Judge of Truth. If you have a cell phone or a pager, please turn it off or set it to stun. Right, we don't have to check messages here now. Good. It's a day which is a sadness and also at the same time a celebration. I mean, Jerry was almost 91, close to 91. Saturday would have been 91. And so even in the sadness, there's no tragedy. We will celebrate his life, and there will be a couple of good laughs along the way, because he was a man who, with his sense of humor and with his behavior, could make you feel very comfortable and make you laugh. Begin with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yareach b'layla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzeidcha uvoecha, me'ata va'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From whence cometh my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken our beloved Jerome Arberman, Jerry. His Hebrew name was Yaakov ben Moshe Tzvi. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Jerry's love that united many people in life and which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to Almighty God. It is a time of grief, and so we listen once again to the voice of our sacred scriptures from the book of Psalms. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together let us recite together the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We are gathered to pay our respects to the memory of your dearly departed, Jerry Arberman. This gathering is a support and a comfort for the sorrowing family and for friends. Jerry was upbeat, and he liked to fish. He liked to garden. He liked people. And he was gregarious. He told jokes. He was a talker. You would sit to have a meal with him. He would talk and continue to talk through the entire meal. Cindy told the story of someone with whom he was having dinner, and the guy was amazed that Jerry had eaten anything off of his plate. And sure enough, Jerry had eaten everything off of his plate and not finished talking the whole meal. He was a real character. And the kids remember the time also when he was going through airport security and he talked to the TSA agent so much that the agent said, "Sir, you're going to miss your plane." And he didn't want to miss the plane because he was punctual. Don't be late. If you were going to come and pick him up at 10 a.m., if it's 10 a.m. in 15 seconds, he'd call up on the, "Where are you?" So don't be late. He was punctual. I don't recall if we started the service on time, but at least in this instance, right. So in the next month, we come to a Torah portion, which is a beautiful reminder of Jerry. And I'd ask you to check this as well. It's in Parashat Vayakhel. It's in Exodus chapter 35, and it's a part of Exodus. We come to it in a month. I think it's the first weekend in, first Shabbos in March, where our ancestors are commanded to bring materials for the construction of the tabernacle. It's like a building fund, the first time. And they're commanded to bring. And the Torah goes on to tell us in Exodus 35 and into the beginning of Exodus 36 that they brought the materials, and they brought, and they brought. They just kept bringing. They didn't know when to stop. And so in Exodus chapter 36, verse 6, finally Moses makes a proclamation. He says, "Let no man or woman make further efforts toward the sanctuary." And then they stopped. And as we sat and we talked about Jerry, he was a beautiful reminder of this Torah teaching because in so many ways, he didn't know when to stop either. He was kind, especially in his younger days. He was chivalrous. He was creative. He was eccentric. He was loving. He was a friend. He was a colleague. And thank God, he didn't know when to stop being those things and doing those things. Jerry was he born here in Cleveland? February 6, 1925. So his 91st birthday, as you heard, would be this coming Saturday. His parents, Morris and Esther, of blessed memory. He was one of two children born to them, Pearl, of blessed memory, his sister, and Jerry. Jerry met Florence Cusitt at the West Side Market, and I am going to share some of Jerry's words from Tossie's funeral in October 2010. He said her dad sold vegetables, mainly potatoes and tomatoes. And apparently when Jerry met Tossie, he helped out a little bit there. And it was a very hard-working family. At the time of Tossie's funeral, Jerry said, "I can still see in my mind's eye the family sitting around the dinner table and gathering the day's earnings on the table. Morris counted out and he declared, 'It was a good day, and we can buy a new shirt for you or we can buy something for you.' It was a family that worked diligently and they were frugal. They valued hard work." Jerry was in the Navy, 1943, 1944. The flag is the symbol of his service to our country. He worked radio and radar. And for a time, he was on shore patrol in San Francisco. And the family said he was about 130 pounds soaking wet. And when Jerry asked how he was going to stop anybody, the officer said, "The uniform will do it." And then he was discharged early because he had a head injury. I don't know if he got the head injury on the patrol or what. He came back, he went to dental school at Western Reserve for a little while, and then he transferred to Case because he wanted to do something technical. He earned a degree from Case and then went to work as an engineer. Sometime around this time, Jerry and Tossie were married. That was September 4th, 1948, and it was a good marriage, a loving and devoted marriage of 62 years. They can't a horror. I mean, a lot of people in our generation can't count to 7. 62 years. And they were blessed with 2 children, Cindy and Dave, Cindy's longtime significant other, Fred, and Dave's wife, Laura, grandchild, Kim. At the time of Tossie's funeral, she wasn't married, but you were engaged. So you're married to Dr. Andrew. Apparently, that's what Cindy said, Dr. Andrew. What kind of doctor are you? Engineer. Oh, it's not like anybody could even have a cold and say, Doc, can you help me out? All right, well, engineering, the apple does not fall far from the tree. That's wonderful. Jerry was able to go to the wedding in Charleston, South Carolina. That was beautiful. Jerry also remembered at the time of Tossie's funeral their rental apartment on East 88th Street. And he remembered how difficult it had been cleaning the ceiling of that rental because Tossie had put prunes in a pressure cooker and didn't close it apparently the way it needed to be closed, and it popped open and poof. And he said they could have made super glue out of that stuff. And as an engineer, he probably wishes he had had the patent for super glue. Jerry worked for several companies. He started his career as an electronics engineer. He had many patents, one of them a variable capacitor. He did work on torpedoes. It was a time when a team of engineers would get together, they would work together. You put something together, the other guy would go, hey, how about if we try this? It wasn't quite as separate as so many disciplines are now. He always wore bow ties. And as the children recalled, they can imagine him, it looked kind of like a Mad Men episode, back then. He'd have a cigarette in his mouth, and there'd be another cigarette in the ashtray, and they'd be working on whatever they were trying, and he had wearing the bow tie. He built cabinets at home. Apparently he made delicious pickles. And he did a lot of everything. The children remembered, although there was a little disagreement on when exactly this happened, but they remember Dad used to take us down to Key West, and we'd see some things that he was testing down there. And we'd stay there for the summer, and we did that for a few years. Laura very proudly recalled that Jerry taught me how to measure to buy pants without having to put them on. So apparently, there are 3 measurements you need, and I'm actually going to try this. All right? You measure from side to side. No, not here. Measure from side to side, and measure from the hip down to just below, all the way to the cuff, and then there's another measurement.
From the top of your pants to your crotch.
And then if you take those 3 measurements and you go to any store and you know what those measurements are, you can just measure them. You don't have to worry about going to the dressing room, and she said it works beautifully.
He should have patented that.
If only he had the opportunity. Laura said the first time I met him, he was wearing flip-up sunglasses. Or flip-up glasses. Sunglasses? Right, he loved numbers, and he could quote pi to 24 digits. One of Dave's friends emailed, your dad always had something strange or wonderful to say. Since Tossie's passing, life has been challenging. He had many medical issues. His personality changed. This happens sometimes with illness. And he had been in and out of the hospital frequently, especially over the past year, and he had no real quality of life anymore. It was a real sadness for the family and for him. He recently was in Monroe Park Hospice, and just on Sunday he breathed his last. So there's no more pain, there's no deterioration, there's just rest and wholeness and peace. Just like Shabbat is a day of rest, a time of rest, and a time of wholeness, so too for your dear Jerry. His soul is returning to God to be with the souls of his dear family, friends, and the ancestors of our people. This we learn from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. We will escort his body, which is the vessel for the soul, to its final resting place. The soul returns to God. The family has allowed us to send along a few prayer books with Jerry in the casket, so we provide respectful burial for old, well-prayed-from prayer books, as well as respectful burial for his body. We give thanks to God for this gift of long life. May we be kinder and more thoughtful of others, more eager to help and serve others, and let us do these things in Jerry's memory. For only through the deeds that we perform can the world be compensated for the loss of this good and decent man. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Muvarach. From the first chapter of the book of Job. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, yimru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dear Jerry Arberman, and let us say Amen. Please rise for El Maleh Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Jerry Arberman, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utorim, Kezohar Harakia Masirim, Et Nishmat Yaakov ben Moshe Tzvi, Shahalach Le'olamo, Ba'al Harachamim, Yastirehu B'Seiter Kanafav Lo'olamim, Vayitzror B'Tzro HaChaim, Et Nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'romar. Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Jerry Arberman. He has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In a few moments, we will be on our way in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery, and the family has asked us to be announced that should you care to make any donations in Jerry's loving memory, please just make them to a charity of your choice. We do need a few pallbearers. And we'll be going back to 1688 Rushton Road in South Euclid after the service. If you're not going to the cemetery with us, but just want to meet the family back at the house, it'll be about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half from right now, by the time we get back to that house. We'll recite Kaddish for him at the grave. We'll recite Kaddish for him at Temple Israel Ner Tamid each of the next 4 Friday nights. Also, the Sunday school kids work on the prayers. We'll recite Kaddish for Jerry. Wednesday afternoon, Hebrew school, they'll be reciting Kaddish for Jerry. So they'll get reps, and Jerry will get prayers, and it'll be a privilege to do so. This concludes our service here at the funeral home.